Hello and welcome to Picotti's class. In this lecture, I'd like to talk about solving compound inequalities. Compound inequalities can be made with the word and or use the word or. However, in this lecture, I'd like to talk about compound inequalities that involve the word or. For example, let's say we have m minus 2 is less than negative 8 or m divided by 8 is greater than 1. We're going to solve each compound inequality separately and then consider the two solutions. So to solve for the compound inequality with the word or, we're going to look at the numbers that make either inequality true. So on the left hand side we have m minus 2 is less than negative 8. The first thing we're going to do is add 2. So when we add 2, this goes to 0 and this becomes negative 6. So our new equation is m is less than negative 6. Or we still have this one, right? So for this equation, we're going to multiply both sides by 8. Because when we multiply both sides by 8, the 8's are going to cancel here, and we'll just be left with m is greater than, then we just have 1 times 8, which is just going to be 8. Let's work another example. Alrighty, in this next example, we have 2x is less than 10, or x divided by 2 is greater than or equal to 3. So to solve the compound inequality, we're going to use the same technique that we use to solve linear inequalities. We want to isolate x all by itself. So in order to do that, we are first going to divide by 2. We're going to divide both sides by 2. This is just going to go to 1, and this will go to 5. So now we have x is less than 5. So this will be the first one. Or, right, what are we going to do for the right-hand side? That's right, I thought I heard it back there. We are going to multiply by 2. So if we multiply both sides by 2, the 2's will cancel out. And so we'll be left with x is greater than or equal to 3 times 2 is 6. So this will be the second one. Alrighty, for this example, we have 7y minus 5 is greater than or equal to 65, or negative 3y minus 2 is greater than or equal to negative 2. So we're going to solve each one of these equations separately, and we're going to solve them just as if they were linear equations and try to isolate the variable all by itself. So starting with the equation on the left-hand side, if I want to isolate y by itself, what do I have to do? That's what I thought I heard it back there. We're going to have to add 5. So when we add 5, this will go to 0. This goes to 70. And our new equation is 7y is greater than or equal to 70. And if we want to continue to isolate y all by itself, we have to divide by 7. So our answer is going to be y is greater than or equal to 10. Or, now we have to work through this equation. Same idea, we want to isolate the variable all by itself, so we're going to have to add 2 to both sides of the equation. And so when we do that, this goes to 0, and this also goes to 0. So now we have minus 3y, or negative 3y, is greater than or equal to 0. So if we divide both sides by negative 3, this sign is going to flip. So our answer is going to be y is less than or equal to 0. In this problem, we have negative 1 minus 10a is less than negative 1, or 10 plus 3a is less than or equal to negative 5. So I'm going to start with the equation on the left-hand side first, and we're going to try to isolate a all by itself. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to add 1 to both sides. We can do that. This goes to 0. This also goes to 0. So now we have negative 10a is less than 0. If I'm going to divide both sides by negative 10 to isolate a, the inequality sign is going to flip. So now the answer is going to be a is greater than 0. Or, let's work through the equation on the right hand side. So if we want to isolate this a all by itself, what do we have to do? That's right, I thought I heard it back there. We're going to have to minus 10 from both sides. And so when we do that, this goes to 0. And this goes to negative 15. So now I have 3a is less than or equal to negative 15. I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and then we get a is less than or equal to negative 5.